Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to another episode of ARC, the show where I get to be an asshole reviewing comics. And while I tend to spend a lot of time throwing a lot of praise at the Marvel side of the comic book publishing camp, and I spent a whole year last year dedicated to one of their characters, I gotta admit, obviously, I do make DC-related content from time to time, and I've thrown praise to some of their properties. I do like what DC publishes, and I figured I'd give it a little love in a 2022 reflective sort of sense to the Batman universe, because Gotham Knights came out. You know, I love me some Robin as well, along with Batman, so I figured I would do an arc to celebrate Gotham Knights, even though that game's reception was not quite as glowing as I was hoping it would be. But I'm still going to be talking about what I would say is a fundamental Robin story. It's a story that is simple in concept, but really well done in its execution, and is a nice, well-rounded story. I'm talking about The Joker's Wild from Robin 2, a story published throughout the end of 1991 with the story by Chuck Dixon, who is very popular amongst the Batman crowd. He's written some incredible stories. He created Bane, and through the art of Tom Lyle and Bob Smith, tells a story where Robin gets to save the day, but not without his own personal tinged problems. The story itself sees the Joker breaking out of Arkham, which wouldn't be a bad thing normally, only wait, Batman, he's not in Gotham. In fact, he's in Rio, doing some other mysterious investigation adventure on his own, which leaves this intense immediate fear upon Robin that only grows the more that the story evolves, because not only does he have to try to stop the Joker, he can't even get a hold of Batman. It's just him and Alfred trying to go down and bring the Joker to justice. And I think that the story has a lot of elements that help the reader feel the stress that Tim Drake is feeling, who is the Robin in this story. And I like that throughout the beginnings of this, you see the Joker's plan evolve so intensely. It rivaled with the immense snowstorm that is growing throughout the borders of the city. Seeing Gotham covered in this sheet of snow and ice show this growing exhaustion within Robin that I also sees expressed in his Beast story, where you see the stresses of taking the weight of Bruce and himself by himself, bleeding into his personal life, isolating himself from his friends, falling asleep in class. I like that we get to see Robin really try and still fail, showing that he does have room to grow, even if he is trying to be the bravest he's ever seemingly been so far. I also like the interactions between Joker and Robin, because this is their first time really meeting, Tim Drake meeting Batman's biggest nemesis following the death of who he took the place of. I like that that also increases the self-doubt within Robin because of how the Joker views Robin as a sidekick. I like that it has its own moments of Joker brutality in a light sort of fashion, not only through his prison escape, but when he goes back to his gang and Mr. Freeze is there, he just ices him in cold blood. So it's a dope-ass moment that helps instill early on the Joker's brutality, you know, that I feel like it would carry after this between these two characters' relationship. You know, it all builds within the character beautifully, and I enjoy the way the story builds to its own resolutions, and that you get to see him succeed, but not without his own personal problems he has to go for. I mean, in the beginning of the last issue, he visits his father in the hospital because the pressure is mounting on him so intensely, and I think that it's a really good moment of this comic. You know, throughout these 3 issues building up to it, I think it's a good mix of the detective work you would see Batman go through. You know, I really liked the scene of Robin doing his own investigating through the computer hacker that the Joker kidnapped to execute his plans' house, and his own mental notes that he takes. You know, there's a scene where they're trying to make it look like Batman is still in the city to keep the Joker on his toes of Bruce's disappearance. I think that it's interesting to see Robin interact with people like Gordon so intimately, you know, working with the police who are also trying to keep up the guise that Batman is around in the city. You know, it's a really well done story, and I love the art style in it. It's very classic Batman in a way that, like, I feel like was kind of lost throughout the adaptions of the character throughout the 90s, but there's a really good use of color amidst the darkness here, and I think that Robin's colors pop incredibly off the page on here as well. I think the idea of setting it in the snow was a really good touch as well, because it lets Robin's colors pop in a way that Bruce's might not amidst the snow backdrop. You know, I like that the other colors also used to help enhance Robin's colors as a whole. This is just a really good story. You know, I looked up iconic Robin stories a couple years back, and this is one that was thrown at me. So I decided to pick up all 4 of them, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the writing. You know, I enjoy the explorations of Alfred and Tim's relationship throughout these comics. I actually like seeing Tim's personal life. You know, I like that he lives this kind of double life in a way that Bruce really doesn't. You know, I feel like him also figuring out parts of his plan throughout this help invite that sort of tangential to Batman feeling that you get when he works out stuff with Alfred in a different sort of sense. You know, there's a whole scene where he's playing D&D with his friends, and that helps birth his plan that kind of has a really nice resolution to it. And I enjoyed the story. I think it's a really good Robin story. I feel like if you maybe don't read Robin normally and you want like a good just Robin succeeding in a really tense situation comic, this is a nice brief 4-issue run that has some well-shown and well-drawn moments throughout it that I think is worth a read. Definitely seek this one out if you can find it. None of these issues were all that expensive, which with its holographic ass cover, how would it not be worth its weight in gold? But no, seriously, worth a read. Definitely gets a high recommendation from me. What do you think of this story, if you've read it, or the Chuck Dixon run throughout Batman? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and general notary content, be sure to subscribe. Thank you so very much for watching. I've been Viral Rack. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day.